You work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and yet you're still living paycheck to paycheck. What if the system isn't just broken, but deliberately designed to keep you from getting rich? In today's video, we'll take a closer look at why so many of us struggle financially. Let's take a time machine back to around 1900 in the United States. We'll see a typical factory worker earning around $40 a month. Sounds tiny, right? But remember, that equals about $1,400 in today's money. Not exactly rich, but enough for the basics. And maybe a couple of sweet treats if you didn't blow it all on rent. Now fast forward to 2025. Our modern worker pulls in about $4,650 a month before taxes. Feels like a decent chunk of change, until you look at rent, food, and all those sneaky subscription services. Let's not even mention that gym membership you barely use but can't bring yourself to cancel. This is what we call adulting, folks. Before you rush to type angry comments like, "This is not true," let me clarify. We're using the average salary across the entire country, based on official sources. Of course, this number will vary greatly depending on the region, workplace, and job title. For our friend in 1900, housing was about $5 to $8 a month, which translates to $175 to $280 by today's standards. Food might cost $10 to $15 monthly. Clothes, a few dollars, but they were quite expensive relative to income, so people often repaired and patched them at home until they couldn't anymore. Jumping to 2025, the average salary is $4,650 a month. After taxes, there's less left in your pocket. A big chunk goes to rent, especially if you're living in a mid-range area. Food is another expense, especially if you can't resist trendy lattes. Don't forget about the car you can't live without, health insurance, streaming subscriptions, phone, and internet bills. Then there's gas, gym memberships, hobbies, and occasional unexpected expenses like gifts or repairs. By the end of the month, there's barely anything left from your paycheck. Let's break down the numbers side by side to really see how much or how little has changed between 1900 and 2025. On the chart, you'll see a direct comparison of salaries and essential costs from both eras, with 1900 prices adjusted for inflation to match today's value. In 1900, you might spend $10 to $15 on food, roughly $350 to $525 now, which wasn't too bad if you cooked at home. Dining out though? Forget it. There's definitely no fast delivery when your fastest vehicle runs on hay. Meanwhile, a buck or two might cover a horse-drawn streetcar ride, or you could just walk. Today, you're looking at around $300 for a car, insurance, and gas, plus all the joy of rush hour traffic. Healthcare? A dollar or two could cover small issues, but one serious illness would empty your pockets faster than you can say, "doctor's bill." These days, you'll pay about $300 a month for insurance, although one look at the final hospital invoice might still make you long for a time machine. And let's talk taxes. In 1900, they were practically a rounding error for most workers. Federal income tax didn't officially kick in until 1913, and it primarily targeted the wealthy. Local and sales taxes also stayed low, so the average factory hand kept nearly all his wages. Nowadays, $700 or more evaporates before you can spend your paycheck. On the bright side, you get social programs, paved roads, and slightly fewer broken wagon wheels. Finally, if you managed to stash a bit of cash in 1900, you could walk away with around $13 left over, a solid $455 in today's money. Not bad, until a fever or job loss knocked you flat. In our time, you might keep about $500 if you're lucky. New century, same old struggles. So, was life cheaper in 1900? Maybe, but comfort and security were scarce. Today, we enjoy modern luxuries, but face new financial challenges. Whether you were saving for a horse and buggy in the past or the latest iPhone today, managing money has always been a challenge. At least now, we've got streaming services to distract us. Now that we've compared living standards across eras, it's time to ask the big question. Why does it feel like we're all stuck in the same financial struggle, century after century? The truth lies in the systems that shape our economy, our culture, and even our psychology. Understanding these reasons is the first step toward changing your financial future. Let's dive in. Let's start with one of the biggest factors, the way our economy is structured. Spoiler alert, it's designed to reward a few and leave the rest scrambling for crumbs. The capitalist system thrives on competition, but it also prioritizes certain types of work over others. Jobs that generate high profits, like technology innovation or owning businesses, are rewarded the most. Meanwhile, essential jobs, like teachers or nurses, often don't reflect their true value in the wages they earn. Why can't we just make everyone rich? It seems simple. Print more money or redistribute wealth equally. But here's the catch. If everyone suddenly had more money, prices for goods and services would quickly rise because demand would outpace supply. In other words, inflation would make that new wealth meaningless. The current system depends on balance. Not everyone can afford everything at the same time. This keeps markets stable and inflation under control. While frustrating, it's a core part of how modern economies function. The economic structure isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. Understanding this is key to figuring out how to play the system instead of letting it play you. Next, we'll dive into how culture and consumption habits keep us stuck in this cycle. One of the biggest challenges today is the rising cost of basic needs. Housing, healthcare, food, and transportation eat up a large portion of income. For many, it feels like no matter how much they earn, it's never enough to get ahead. Cultural norms also play a huge role. We're constantly encouraged to spend, whether it's upgrading to the latest phone, buying trendy clothes, or splurging on unnecessary extras. This pressure, combined with easy access to credit, keeps many people stuck in a cycle of spending and borrowing. Debt adds even more weight to the financial burden. Mortgages, car loans, and credit card debt often mean working just to keep up with payments. This leaves little room for saving or investing, creating a system where debt grows faster than financial stability. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, you're just running in place financially? Maybe it's that car loan you regret, or the never-ending rent increases. Let us know in the comments. What's the biggest financial challenge you've faced, and how did you deal with it? The combination of rising costs, societal expectations, and increasing debt keeps many people from achieving financial security. Understanding and addressing these factors is a big step toward taking back control of your finances. If you've ever wondered why it feels so hard to get ahead financially, it's not just bad luck. It's also the way incentives in our system are set up. Employers often set wages just high enough to keep employees working, but not so high that they can afford to stop or retire early. This creates a system where most people remain financially dependent on their jobs. Moving up the financial ladder is another challenge. For example, getting a better education or starting a business often requires resources, like money, connections, or access to specific opportunities that many people simply don't have. Without these resources, it's harder to improve your situation, leaving many people stuck in the same financial conditions as the ones they were born into. We've explored the challenges, economic systems, rising costs, cultural pressures, and even inflation. It might feel overwhelming, but the truth is, change starts with you. Breaking free from this cycle isn't easy, but it's possible. It's about taking small, deliberate steps toward understanding your finances, making better choices, and staying consistent. Progress takes time, but every effort counts. We can't change the past, but we can start shaping the future. How will you use your 8 hours tomorrow? See you next time.